Do these people have the right to brainwash the children about immoral lifestyles?
I refuse to accept the notion that you're presenting of something being immoral. It's judged by, you can believe that, but it's not my place to say yes or no on something that you believe is immoral and I believe is a civil right.
Do you know right from wrong?
Well, yeah, I generally do. I decide what's right and what's wrong
How do
for
you decide?
myself.
Are you God? You don't love those people who went into the Capitol building,
I don't love what they did.
but you love them.
They're human.
Do you love them?
I love all humans.
How about those that went into the Capitol?
I don't like what they did, and what they did was wrong
But do
because they
you
were trying to destroy democracy.
but
They
do
were
you love
trying to
them?
create a dictator. I love them as humans. I do not like what they did.
Do you love the Great White Hope?
Ha! For what? Great White Hope for what?
Civil rights activist? I don't think so. I like the way Jesse took her out here. Jesse exposed her and said something. You see that here, usually this so-called civil rights activists, they fight for the wrong things. They're either fighting for the LGBTQ agenda, fighting for one type of, critical race theory, something racism, basically, something that doesn't make sense when they should be fighting for the normal civil rights, like normal civil rights like the Second Amendment, freedom of speech, and so on and so forth. Guys, just enjoy this video. You see how Jesse decimated her from the beginning to the end. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get more videos like this. Let's get straight into the video.
Very interesting guest today, a young lady that disagrees with me. I have with me Anita DeFrance. She is an Olympic medalist for the U.S. women rowing team and a civil rights attorney and activist. Thank you, Anita, for coming.
It is my pleasure.
Congratulations on the rowing team. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was the first time women rowers were allowed at the Olympic Games, and it was an interesting journey, certainly, and we got there and realized that they decided that we should row exactly half the distance the men row.
Nice.
Not really, because all the men knew about rowing 2 kilometers instead of 1 kilometer, so we trained for 2K and we raced 1K.
Oh, okay. And so you are an attorney and activist. What is a civil rights attorney?
Well, generally it means that you work usually for a public interest firm or for a part of a law firm that specifically has perhaps pro bono or a practice in civil rights, or organizations that do civil rights, like the ACLU, the NAACP, or in my case, the Juvenile Law Center of Philadelphia, where I started my legal career.
Oh, I see. And what are civil rights?
Civil rights are those rights that we are given under the Constitution of the United States of America, although it's been begrudgingly since we started out as 3/5 of a human, but slowly with the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, there are rights, and then with the Civil Rights Acts of the mid-60s, and more to be done for certain. But
can you name a civil right? Like what, for example?
well, we have the right to free speech, and that's supposed to be against your government. For example, you can't say fire in a movie theater
Right.
just because you want to. So the right to free speech is the right to protest against the government. There's a right to, to a peaceful life, one that you don't have to constantly battle for yourself. There's a right, I believe, to education. I believe there's a right to being a fully formed human. I mean, we are one race, the human race. We're all the same,
Right.
and yet each of us is unique. Even identical twins are not identical. So if we could get that RACE word out of our mind, everything would be a lot better.
But what I noticed that most of these black so-called civil rights and ACLU and all that, they're fighting for things that we already have. We have the right to speak. We have the Second Amendment. We have those things. But when they go out and fight, they fight for the wrong thing. Like they fight for lesbians and homosexuals to be accepted as a norm. Uh, those are not civil rights. Those are immoral issues.
No.
Why would they fight for immoral issues like that?
Absolutely. You get to have that opinion if you wish, but
But-
we're all humans, and how we present ourselves to the world is our own individual decision. It's not my right to say something is immoral.
But
It's
it is
only,
your right to say that.
I can say that, but as long as I don't hurt someone by
Right,
saying
you
that.
can say it, but you don't have to beat them. You told Harper to beat me. You don't have to beat them, but you can totally and firmly disagree. That is our responsibility.
Yeah, disagreement's a good thing.
And so they're fighting for immoral rights rather than
Well,
civil rights.
You've decided that it's immoral. I've decided it's civil rights because every person is unique, and we need to respect and appreciate that uniqueness.
So anything that a person want to do, they have a civil right to do it.
So long as it doesn't put injury into someone else's way, or to a certain extent, and not injure themselves.
Do these people have the right to brainwash the children about immoral lifestyles?
I refuse to accept the notion that you're presenting of something being immoral. It's judged by, you can believe that, but it's not my place to say yes or no on something that you believe is immoral and I believe is a civil right.
Do you know right from wrong?
Well, yeah, I generally do. I decide what's right and what's wrong.
How do
for
you
myself.
decide? Are you God?
I'm pretty sure I'm not.
So how do you make?
Sometimes I wish I could wave a magic wand or something to get things right in
So
this
how do you
world.
decide right from wrong?
Well, I have a moral compass.
And where do you get that from?
Well, probably from upbringing. I am the fourth generation of civil rights activists in my family. It's been a long haul. My great-grandfather was a part of the Pap Singleton movement, the Exodusters, as they were called. My grandfather had what I always thought that was so funny, monster meetings every February in Indianapolis at the Senate Avenue YMCA. But the reason they were called monster meetings is because they were so large. And each year he'd bring in top people from our skin tone community. My father got to meet W.B. Du Bois, George Washington Carver, and other literati. That brought it to Indianapolis, which my father described as the northernmost southern town. There was extreme racism, bad word, I shouldn't use it, discrimination.
I thought you wanted to get rid of that
I
word.
do, so I apologize for not
You're forgiven.
behaving well. Thank you very much.
So listen, so do you fight for the wrong things too?
Define wrong.
Like bad lifestyles, like homosexuality and lesbian and
Well,
all this crap.
again, yeah.
You fight for those things?
I fight for humans to have the life that they need.
Do you fight for
Actually, I don't fight. I work to convince.
to convince a right person that wrong is right and right is wrong?
No, a person that we all deserve to live. We are all human, and we are one race, the human race.
Do you believe that racism exists?
I believe that discrimination exists.
But
we
not
are
racist.
one race.
But not racism, right?
We're one race. How
Right.
can there be racism
So-
if we're one race?
so do you believe-
It's ridiculous.
Oh, okay. So you're saying no such thing as racist?
I do know there's a lot of discrimination.
Right.
And again, I as a child, I kept thinking, as I learned about how people were enslaved, I kept thinking, well, what do these people who call themselves white, how are they dealing with that? The fact that they took someone's life for their own and did not treat them well and would often beat them and completely disavowed the notion that they were human.
The
And
same way in Africa. Remember, in Africa, black people enslaved other blacks in Africa.
Yes.
And then they sold them, they used them as money
But the
to buy products
institution
and
of-
things like that. And when the Arabs came along, they sold the other blacks to the Arabs, and the Arabs sold them around the world. That's dehumanizing?
Well, of course it is. But
Is
here's
that
the
as
difference.
bad as
That's
what happened here, as you think what happened in America?
no.
Is it as bad as that?
The
Is it as bad as
institution
that?
the institution
No,
of
answer that for me. Is it as
slavery.
bad as that?
Which?
What blacks did to other blacks in Africa, enslaving them, using them as money, beating them, selling them, was that as bad as what happened in America?
No,
That wasn't.
no. It was
It
bad.
was nicer.
It was bad, but no, the
Was it
institution of
nicer?
slavery is practiced in this nation.
No, I'm asking you first.
Was
Let's deal with. Let's come
permanent.
back to it. Was
And
that
you could
nicer in
escape.
Africa being enslaved by other blacks?
Anytime your ability to make your own decisions is taken from you, it's wrong.
So was
Just
it
plain
as
wrong.
bad as what happened here?
No, what happened here was it was you were enslaved, your children were enslaved, you weren't
In
allowed to
Africa,
keep
too.
a family together. Not so much there because
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
get out
Their
of
children
slavery.
were enslaved
There-
by other blacks.
but they could work their way out. They weren't for life and for
No,
generations
they were
and forever.
sold. They didn't work their way out.
No, sir. At some point, you could work your way out.
Not
that
in
was
Africa,
not
you couldn't.
My
But
goodness,
why do you
Africa is
say
several
it was-
nations. So tell me which part of Africa
Why
was
do
that
you
way?
say that it wasn't as bad? It was nicer to be enslaved by black people.
It's you just said Arabs. You said
No, they
all
were
sorts of
sold to
people.
the Arabs. As a matter
Well,
of
but
fact,
they were doing-
But,
what
but
were
why
they
do you
doing?
say it was nicer?
I didn't say that. I said that the institution of slavery as practiced in the United States was horrible.
But was it
the
horrible in
lowest.
Africa?
I'll say again that anytime someone believes that they can enforce their will over another human being, it's wrong and it's horrible.
Right.
If
And
you're the
so
person,
was it as
so-
horrible for the African as it is for America?
Well, since I wasn't there at the time, I can only opine
That's
from afar.
amazing. Why, if slavery is bad, you don't have to be there to know it. if
Well,
you
I'm
believe
working
that
to-
it's
do you know
bad.
how many people
But
are
you're trying to make
enslaved?
the Africans.
Do you know how many
slavery
people are enslaved
nice.
today? Today, there's
Yeah.
modern slavery. 40 million people around the world
That's
are
right.
enslaved.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's happening right before our very eyes here in this country and in this city.
And the blacks are not saying anything about it.
Well, I'm saying something about it right now. I
want
just
to go
said
back to
something about it.
racism. So you don't believe that racism exists?
I believe that discrimination
How about
exists.
racism? Do you believe that
We're
exists?
one race. How could we have racism if we're all
So
the
does
same
racism
human?
exist?
Discrimination exists.
I'm asking you this other question. Aren't you a lawyer?
I am.
We are in court.
Yes, sir.
You got to answer
Yes.
the judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So does racism exist?
Discrimination exists,
I didn't
and
ask
people.
about discrimination.
I beg your, if it please the court. Racism as an idea exists in people's brain, but it's a nonsense idea because we're all the same race. Discrimination is the result of people believing that people are different, and because you have a different skin color, or you may speak differently, or your body shape is different, you're still human. So what point is there to say that there's racism? People have gotten jammed up by this word that came into being in the late 16th century, and we need to unjam our brains. We need to think critically.
So in thinking critically, you're saying no, racism doesn't exist. It's discrimination.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Is it wrong to discriminate?
Well, it's foolish because,
Is it wrong?
well, it depends. It's foolish. I mean, you discriminate.
it wrong?
I prefer chocolate ice cream to vanilla ice cream, so I would
Ooh,
discriminate.
so you like white guys?
I said I prefer
Oh,
chocolate
you
ice
like
cream.
black guys?
Yep, chocolate is my vitamin C.
Oh, okay. So is it wrong to discriminate?
I think it's foolish because you lose opportunities if you decide in advance before you know a person or you know something. The most important thing, in my belief, is that we think critically. We ask why and why not. We ask, what is the purpose and why are you intending to have that purpose, and you think you'll have that outcome.
So is it wrong to discriminate?
Again, it's foolish to discriminate,
But I didn't
and
ask
by
you were
discriminating, you can
You
do
are
bad things to
intellectual.
people. If you discriminate, you do bad things to people.
No, I asked, is it wrong to discriminate?
I'm going to come back to my previous answer. It's foolish. You lose something of yourself, and you lose an opportunity. If it's a human you're discriminating against, you lose the opportunity to learn more from that human or appreciate that viewpoint.
Amazing. You're not answering my question. I thought you were
Oh,
going
I
to be
am
tough.
answering your question, but you don't like my answer. Now, that's
So
something
is it-
different.
But I'm asking, I ask yes or no question, and then if you want to follow up on that, you can add that, right? So is it foolish for you to like chocolate ice cream over vanilla? Is that foolish?
Well, we're talking about not discrimination. We're talking about what we
But
like.
you're discriminating against
I'll eat
vanilla.
vanilla, but I prefer chocolate.
So you'll take a white man, but you prefer a black one.
How did we go from ice cream to humans?
No, I'm playing.
How did that happen?
Do you love white people?
I love humans.
Do you love white people?
People who call themselves white, some of them I'm good friends with. Others I've never met.
Do you love those people who call themselves white?
I love humans. I don't necessarily like the way they behave.
Do you love those people who call themselves white? Do you love them?
I love all humans as a proposition. Now, those who've decided are because the culture has told them that that's what they are, they're human.
And so those people who have decided to call themselves white, do you love them?
It's possible, but I don't like to make grand, well, I've said that we're all human. I guess that's a grand definition.
It is grand, very
But it's
grand.
correct.
Do you love those people who have decided to call themselves white? Do you love them?
Some of them I'm sure I do. Some of them I'm sure I don't.
And
Those
you don't
people
love them
who
all?
stormed, well, our previous president would go into that not like category because of what he does and what he stands for. The people who stormed our Capitol would have to go into that category. It's what
Into
they
what
do. It's not
category?
what they be.
Which category are you putting them in?
Who I wouldn't love.
You don't love those people who went into the Capitol building,
I don't love what they did.
but you love them.
They're human.
Do you love them?
I love all humans.
How about those that went into the Capitol?
I don't like what they did, and what they did was wrong
But do
because
you-
they were trying to destroy democracy.
But
They
do
were
you love
trying
them?
to create a dictator. I love them as humans. I do not like what they did.
Do you love the Great White Hope?
For what? Great White Hope for what? For
So
more.
you know
for
who
more,
he is, huh?
Well, I've heard people say that.
Call him the Great White Hope?
I thought that was a boxer, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think at one time there was a white boxer, but we're talking about Donald Trump, right?
Yes.
Do you love Donald Trump?
Boy, that would be tough for me to do that because of what he's done to people. He never pays anybody. He constantly doesn't fulfill his obligations as a human.
So do you love Donald Trump?
I don't
President
think so.
Trump?
I don't think so.
You don't. Amazing. Do you love the fallen Messiah?
The
Fallen Messiah,
Mr. Hampton?
Barack.
Oh, he's the fallen Messiah. Well, there's a new concept you shared with me. Fallen where? Did he trip?
When he first ran, the black people were like, oh, he was sent by God. God put him there. And then he became a loser, and they realized
I beg your
it
pardon?
wasn't from God.
I thought he won
Do you
and
love
was
he-
president for 2 terms.
Right, look what he did to America. He turned
What did
it
he
into
do?
a ghetto.
I beg your pardon. Give me some facts on that. Why do you believe that?
He pushed homosexuality like 90 going north.
Oh my God! We're back to
More
that.
people are unemployed than ever before under
That's
him.
not true.
Crime in Chicago and other areas went out of control.
Well, that would be
the
guns.
races are divided more
Guns
than,
and no
He
jobs.
divided the races more
he
than
didn't.
any other time in the
People
history of America.
a group of people
I'm
who call
telling you what he
themselves
did.
white decided, here's a chance. We're going to go after this. I mean, look what Moscow Mitch did. He said, I'm going to make sure this president is unsuccessful.
Thank God, but he didn't. He
I
didn't
beg
do
your
it, though.
pardon. We have the Affordable Care Act, which has saved many people in this country and could save more.
Are you a socialist?
I'm social.
Are you a socialist?
You mean
Do you believe in socialism?
Karl Marx?
Do you believe in socialism?
I believe in respect for everyone.
How about socialism?
If you're talking about the political view, I wouldn't take that up as my political view, no.
You would not?
No.
But you sound
I
like one.
believe in democracy.
Why do you believe in it, but you wouldn't take it?
No, I didn't say I believe in it. I said I would understand it and
Oh.
understand that other people might believe in it, but for me, it's democracy. And we have
Socialism
not-
is democracy?
No,
for
no,
you?
no. For me, the political structure that I believe in is democracy.
Are you a Democrat?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
My great-grandparents were Lincoln Republicans, but that was the last
Yeah.
group.
In the good old days, black people were Republicans because they were not allowed into the
Well,
Democratic
that's
Party.
when there was the
and
Dixiecrats and the Southern Democratic Party that
Yeah.
did some really bad things.
Let me ask this. Do you love that radical group, Black Lives Matter?
Well, I wouldn't define it as a radical group.
Do you love them?
I love what they're working to do, absolutely.
So do you love them?
You know, there's a difference between loving a person and determining whether you like what they do or not. And I really love what they're doing. I don't know everybody in the Black Lives Movement, so I will not opine on whether I love each one.
Oh, you don't?
No, I love humans.
You love what they do.
Yeah, I think it's very important.
So
as
you
we've learned.
loved it when they went around the country burning and robbing
didn't do
and
that.
raping and killing.
Don't put
and
that on them.
looting
You're wrong.
And taking. And now they found out that the president of this Patrice woman, she been taking the money or something. Been accused of that.
Oh my
buying
God, you
homes.
are
So-
slandering her.
So according to the report.
Okay.
And so do you love that she did that, if that's true?
I'm so grateful that she's doing the work she's doing,
To
and
buy
I do
those
not
homes?
accept the slander that has been put toward her.
You don't believe she did it?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'd never heard this
She's
before.
been accused of taking some of the money, buying a bunch of homes in the white communities.
Is it a strategy?
And she stepped down as a result.
Is it
You
which
love-
she is she? Which one to whom are you referring?
Patrice, I believe her name is, right?
The one
Patrice.
who's from here?
The
Southern
the
California?
Fat, like, I don't know where she's from. I had her on the show and she ran. But do you love that she did that, if that's true?
Well, I would have to have facts and to understand why she did it, if she did it. And right now, this is the first I've heard of such things.
So you love the fact that they were going around the country burning down,
Stop.
destroying, and raping.
Stop right there.
And all that.
You are just making stuff up, man.
You don't know that happened?
I know that people who were out to do something different did that, but the people who were a part of the Black Lives Matter marches, actually, that went around the world after Mr. Floyd was murdered in front of the entire world.
George Floyd,
Yes, sir.
the drug addict,
I beg your pardon.
the unemployed,
The human.
the unemployed
The
blood,
human, the
the
father,
unemployed
the
drug
brother,
addict with
the
a criminal
son,
record.
the parent. Absolutely. He was murdered.
Let me ask this: what happened to the blacks like yourself that reality? You can't see reality. You see an illusion of things. You don't see what's really going on. What happened to the mind of blacks that they, like you're seeing right as wrong and wrong as right?
In your opinion?
Have you always been that way?
In your opinion, on some
Have,
things,
have you always been that way?
I have no idea what you're talking about now. Have I always been what way? Willing
Like,
to
you don't-
have critical thinking?
You saw the people go into the Capitol, the people that call themselves white, right?
Well, yeah, and
But
I
you
saw
didn't
them
see
beating
Black
up on
Lives
police.
Matter.
I saw them beat up on police people.
But
I
you
saw them
didn't-
destroy things.
But you didn't see
and
Black
I saw
Lives
them
Matter
go there,
during
and
an
I heard them
insurrection.
say things like "hang Mike Pence."
But you didn't see Black Lives Matter committing an insurrection upon the country. You
no,
didn't see that.
No. Black Lives
What
Matter was
the-
not. Well, here we are. We disagree
Well,
vehemently.
how you see one but you didn't see the other?
Well, I saw people beat up police as they were entering a place they weren't supposed to be at a time they weren't supposed to be there. And certainly the former guy who called himself president had incited this and had planned it. Well, he doesn't plan
So
anything.
Black Lives Matter was incited by President Trump?
God, no. Just the opposite. I'm talking about the assault on democracy that
But how did
happened
you
on
see
January
one
6th.
but not the other, and both were visible?
Well, You know, I saw people destroy property at the end of Black Lives
What is
Matters.
wrong with, what kind of lawyer are you?
Well, I think I'm pretty good.
Did you, did you,
All
you're
right.
a nice lady though.
Ah.
Did you hear Black Lives Matter chanting, what do we want, dead cops? When do we want it now? Pigs in the blanket, frown like bacon. Did you hear that?
I did not in any of the
Did
Black
you
Lives
see that?
Matters that I've been. You know,
You just,
of
did you
course,
see that in the media?
I'm trying to think if I did. I don't think so. That's the kind of thing we said in high school.
But you didn't see Black Lives Matter doing it.
No,
Pigs in the blanket.
no. Again, I say that's something that
What do
high
we want,
schoolers
dead
do.
cops? You didn't see them doing that either.
No, what I wanted was them to stop killing people.
No, I asked you, did you see Black Lives Matter chanting? You saw what happened at the Capitol, right?
And the whole
you
world
didn't
saw
see
that.
Black Lives Matter commit an insurrection upon the country. Did you see them
Absolutely
chanting?
not.
Did you see them chanting, what do you want, dead cops, when do you want them now?
No, I
Did
never.
You didn't see that?
I never saw
You
nor
didn't see
heard that.
pig in the blanket, frown like
That's what I
bacon?
told you. That's the sort of thing.
But
that
you didn't see Black Lives Matter doing that?
I did not.
You're going to be on TV. The world going to see you. Do you realize that right now?
Well, it doesn't change my answer. My dad was a pioneer in what he called, he created something called the Multiphasic Screening Center. So if you went to this place, if you needed help with rent, if you needed help with health, if you needed help with education.
So your father did this to you?
And I'm proud of it. I used to attend
Your father
community.
messed you up.
He was a community organizer, and I would go to his meetings, and I would hear people really mad at each other. And I loved the way he brought it to the end of the meeting so people could say, okay,
Where's your father now?
he's not here on
I
earth.
rest my case.
Yeah, well, I beg your pardon. What does that mean? Because he died? What are you talking about?
Oh, do you believe there is white supremacy?
I believe that people who call themselves white believe they are supreme over others.
But so you believe those people who call themselves white, you think that they think they're superior to others?
They have evidence that belief throughout time in this nation.
But they never say it. I only hear it from the black people. So
I beg your pardon.
that the
People
black
say
people,
that.
it seems that the black people think white people are superior. And that's why they're so radical, the blacks. They try to prove they're better than the whites.
Well, you know, I'm not sure that's the best way to do it.
But you see the same thing happening, though, right?
What?
Because it's the blacks who think that white people are superior, not the white people.
I beg your pardon.
Hear from
I
the blacks.
beg your pardon. You know, let's go back to January 6th. And those people walked up.
We can't talk about
destroyed-
January 6th. How you see January 6th, but you didn't see the whole country being burned down by the blacks?
The whole burned down by who?
The blacks.
Well, many of those Black Lives Matter protests had not just folks who call themselves black in it. They had people of all skin tones. So you can't even say that.
They had some Antifa mixed up in there, yeah.
What is Antifa?
They were white.
Do you know what Antifa means?
Yeah, evil.
Well, I can go there with you.
You can agree that Antifa was evil, but not Black Lives Matter?
Antifa
is
originally
Black Lives
meant
Matter evil?
anti-fascism. That's why it's Antifa.
So Black Lives Matter is communist, socialist.
Why do you want to put labels on it?
They said it.
Who?
They have trained to be Marxists or something. They said Marxists.
Who
They
said
admitted
that?
to that.
Who said that?
What world are you in? You don't see what the blacks are doing, but you see everything the whites are doing.
I told you, you need to ask why.
Are you able to
need
see out of both
apply,
eyes?
you
Are
need
you
to
like
apply,
blind in one of the eyes or something?
You need to apply critical thinking. And what doesn't sound right probably isn't right. And what you just said didn't sound right. So I'm thinking it can't be right.
They call themselves that. They were trained to be Marxist.
That is, okay. Well, I'd love to see that in writing someplace.
Do you
And not just on
do you
AON.
support critical race theory?
Oh, gosh, do you know what that is?
Nothing made up words.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It was a type of study that was done at the collegiate level and has nothing to do with
Real stuff.
elementary school or middle school
It
or
just
high
made
school.
up like racism. So I got to put you on the hot seats.
Okay, where have I been?